Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. As I mentioned earlier, when we did the scholarship announcement, I am just so excited to have connected with so many of you. There was over 450 mom photographers that registered for this event. And literally that is mind blowing to me. I know that I have barely connected. I barely scratched the surface of like connecting with all of you. So please, please reach out if you haven't. If you're watching this replay and you haven't had a chance to say hi, message me over on Instagram at the Purpose Gathering. Christina said she missed the announcement. Who won? Okay, so because I forgot to record the announcement, I'll re-announce. So our scholarship winner for the Side Hustler to CEO program is Christian Grant. She was at almost every live Q&A with me. She was asking questions. She was actually conversing with the speakers outside of the summit, you know, like she connected with them at the summit and then was asking questions outside of the summit. She was working really hard, digging deep, watching. She said, I think she watched every presentation or missed like one or two, but she's probably caught up by now because that's just her heart. Christian said she missed two, but I'm sure that she will watch them. And like, this is just, yeah, she's going to watch them. So she just exemplified someone to me that was all in. And that's really what I'm looking for, is someone who is ready to take that next step, who doesn't have it all figured out, right? But who's willing to figure it out. So I love that. I'm so excited for you, Christian, to come alongside me on this journey. Okay, so let's get into today's conversation, where I really want to share with you 3 keys to being purposely productive. So finding joy and success while balancing both your motherhood and your photography business. And again, just a big thank you for joining. Before we jump in, I always love to give an agenda just so you know what's coming. I don't know about you, but I just love knowing what to expect. So we're going to hop into the masterclass now. Then I'll be introducing the Side Hustler to CEO program and how you can get started and plugged in. And then I will have a Q&A session at the end. And I'll be here honestly as long as it takes. If you guys have real questions that you want answered, like, I am here for you guys. I love this. This is my favorite part of being a coach, is the camera front facing, talking to you and helping you. Let's see. Okay. So how to get the most from this training. I say this in all of my presentations because I think it's really good for everyone to just take a breath, right? Like, you're here, you made it, but I know you're probably doing other things, right? You're chasing toddlers, you're doing the dishes, you're tidying the house so that your mind feels clear, like you're doing all the things, which is fine. I totally get that. But as much as you can, try to minimize these distractions right now. If you can find a semi-quiet place, take your kids in the backyard if it's not too scorching hot, let them play on the floor while you get out a notebook and a pen and take some notes here, because I really want you guys to reflect. Like, you've just taken in a plethora of information right now. And I know you're buzzing, right? I am. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's all these things that I need to be doing right now. And I know that, right? And so I can't even imagine how you guys are feeling when you might even be new to this and you're like, I don't even know where to start. So if you can relate, drop that in the chat here. I also want you to have an open mind. Give yourself time to implement this. I think the hardest part about being a creative is that when we get new ideas, we want to act on them now. And that doesn't mean that everything that you learned, you need to apply right now. Okay, so I just want you to give yourself time to implement these. And then as you're thinking of questions, I want you to write them down. You can drop them in the chat. And then I'll come back to them. But just kind of remind me of like, hey, I had a question, but it's way up there. So I don't want you to forget your questions. Christina says buzzing for sure. Yes, so much amazing information. Okay, so my intention from this presentation today, from this masterclass, is that you will walk away from this training with a completely different outlook on what you need to be truly productive. Okay, so we're going to do a heart check. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know I love to do these. This is just because I really find it so important that you stop and pause. I think a lot of times we are just go, go, go as moms, and we forget to stop and pause. And part of implementing new information that you learn is pausing and reflecting and then changing your course, right? And identifying, am I on the right path or do I need to change something? So I want you to drop in the chat, what does it mean to you to be productive? And I want to see like if there's some commonalities in what you guys are thinking. I want to see if maybe you guys thought the same thing as me. I'm going to take a drink of water. Okay, Christian said being productive to her means moving forward, even if it's just small steps. I love that. Lindsay says health in all areas as well as creating. Ooh, I love that. That's unique. I've never heard that explanation of productivity. Health in all areas as well as creating. Awesome. Okay, go ahead and keep dropping it in the chat. I know sometimes it takes a minute for you to get it in there. I think to most people, being productive means like getting a lot done, right? Like checking off the to-do list. I know for me, that is exactly what I thought. So I used to think that being productive was enough, right? Like, oh, if I just can get more done on my to-do list, then I have had a productive day. If I could just have more time, then I could be more productive. Does anyone ever like think about that? Or maybe now after this week, you're like, I know that's not true, but can you relate to that, ever feeling that way? Gosh, if I just had more time, I could be more productive. Becky says, I completely relate. I think this is something that a lot of us struggle with, especially as moms, because we go from having, I wouldn't say a lot of time, but having a normal amount of time, right, as a human being, to having kids that require so much of our time that all of a sudden, like we didn't really have, you know, like how babies learn how to walk over a course of a year, right? Like we just were thrown into that and we were like, okay, so you had a normal amount of time and now you have way less time. Like there was no easing into that. And so I feel like it's really hard for us to manage that. Let's see. Amy says, I used to think that until learning this week that it's not. Oh, I love it. Yes. So good. I'm glad that you learned that. Okay, but here's what I realized. The more time I had, the more time I wasted. Okay, being productive might mean getting more done by definition, but it's not enough if I'm checking the wrong boxes. Okay, I want to hear from you guys if you can relate to any of this. I'm going to read some statements and I want to know if you ever feel overwhelmed trying to juggle all the things. Like you never have enough time in your day to get your work done and then also spend quality time with your kids. And you're constantly feeling pulled in two directions. Can I get a witness? The mom guilt is real. Maybe you can relate to this one. You spend hours and hours working on your business and you still feel stuck and like you're not seeing the growth you desire. That's that hamster wheel effect that I was talking about. Like you just feel like you're spinning your wheels and you're just doing the same things and not seeing what you want from it. Cassidy says, yes, she can relate. Okay, your business isn't profitable enough to support your family. So maybe you're stuck in that rut right now where you're just like, I'm doing the things, I'm following what I've heard. I don't understand why it's not working. Like I can't figure out how to level up. I don't know how to bring in enough sessions to hit my revenue goals. And you're just overwhelmed. Anyone relate to that? Lindsay says this, and then my body physically shuts down the harder I try to push forward. Oh my gosh, Christian, yeah, so that was Lindsay. Christian says 1,000 times yes. Oh my goodness. And I'm going back up to Becky says, I definitely feel stuck in the hours on the business. Too much research and not enough action. Yes. Oh my gosh. I can relate as well. Okay. And Elizabeth says, definitely can relate to the last one. Business isn't profitable enough to support my family. Okay. I'm glad I'm not alone in all this. Okay, what about this? Are you saying yes to everyone else? You're feeling like you're the only one struggling to raise a family and grow a business you love. Maybe you feel like you are constantly cleaning up after your kids. You're running on empty and you're always just chasing that little bit of peace and quiet to get some focused work done. And then when you finally have time to work, you feel unsure of what to even focus on. Do you do social media? Do you do email marketing? Do you work on streamlining? Do you content create? Do you just work on client work? Maybe you're stuck in client work right now and you're like, Ash, I love all this stuff that you're saying about becoming the CEO, but I just don't have time. I am in the weeds of my client work. Anyone relate? Okay, Becky says, I feel like I'm going to choose the wrong resources to help me and invest money in things that won't work. Oh, so true. Yes. I've gotten really choosy about who I work with in the last few years. Lindsay, amazing. The last statement, what takes priority? Time is limited. Where do I start? Says Becky. And Lindsay agrees. Yes, Becky. Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. I literally, this used to be me, like on the daily. I would say probably like, I mean, I started my business when before my kids were born, actually, but I didn't really start taking it seriously until after my daughter was born. But I found myself so often just crying in the closet, wondering like, who is going to take care of me? I remember one particular moment, I was hiding in my closet, to be honest. I wasn't just in there, I was hiding. I didn't want anyone to find me. And I get emotional.
You're good, Ashley. We feel you. We've been there. Some of us are there.
Yes. Thank you guys.
I'm totally there, girl. Last week was real bad. That's why I joined this. Lots of crying.
Thank you. I just like you guys, I can feel that moment. Like,
Yep.
I'm back there right now, you know?
I think it should also be noted that a lot of that is our culture. Like there's a lot of cultural conditioning in all the things we're supposed to do. And it's insane.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That's
Thank
my
you
doula
guys.
hat.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, I love it. Thank you. You guys are so supportive, and that is what I was lacking, right? Like I was in this closet hiding and I didn't want anyone to find me. And I was like, you know what? Who is gonna take care of me? Like I am so overwhelmed taking care of everyone else. And I'm like, why? I'm so beat down. I'm so broken. I felt like nobody understood what I was going through. I had so many mom friends that didn't have a business, and I had so many business friends that didn't have kids. And I'm like, nobody gets this. Like, why? Why am I so alone? There has to be other people out there that like are going through this, right? And I felt every single day, I felt like, today am I going to be a good mom, or today am I going to be a good business owner? Because frankly, I just can't do both. Like I'm always dropping the ball somewhere, right? Always. If you guys can relate, oh yes, thank you guys so much. You're the best. Yeah, I always thought, like, I mentioned this too, like I just need more time. Like everything would be different if I just had more time without my kids. Like I just need more time. That's all that I kept telling myself. And I realized that time wasn't my problem. And it's really interesting to say, but like I've been a coach for 3 years, but I didn't realize this until a year ago. That time wasn't my problem. Actually, it was more like 2 years ago. So it was when my youngest started kindergarten. And I thought I needed more time. And I sent them off to school because, you know, some of you might be in that boat right now where you're like counting down the minutes till your kids, but like all of your kids are in school and you're like, I got this, like everything will change when my youngest goes to kindergarten. And I'm telling you what, for me, nothing changed. Like nothing changed. I had more time on my hands and my business did not explode the way I thought it was. It it did not take off in the way that I anticipated. So it helped because I had more time, but it just made me realize that time wasn't my problem. It was the way I was spending my time. So instead of focusing on revenue generating tasks, I was just constantly chasing the newest and shiniest object. I was taking in all the information like summits and podcast episodes and reading books and like taking in all the information, which is great. But again, I was still overwhelmed and I didn't have a path and it wasn't helping me grow my business. And so I got to the end of my rope, I hit a rock bottom and I decided to change strategies. So instead of trying to do all the things, I really spent my time and energy in the right places. And I discovered that I really did have enough time to be both a successful photographer and a mother. And I know that you guys can all do it too. I'm going back through the chat. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Someone can relate. I do this once a week. It's not healthy. That's why health is part of productivity to me. I love that, Lindsay. Christina says, thank you for your vulnerability. Absolutely. I've also learned not to apologize for crying. So if any of you ever find yourself trying to apologize, that's a big thing that I've had to work through in counseling for sure. Never enough time, says Erin. Lindsay says, I have very few friends who are married to the military, lack of local support, running a business, constantly rebooting in new locations, and homeschooling, so no childcare breaks. Oh, yes, Lindsay. We can relate on that level. Having no childcare breaks is so hard. We can chat about this later, but you need to get some childcare breaks, girl. Okay, Christian, I'm planning to homeschool, so no countdown for me. I love that. Oh, yes, I know. This is so true. Okay, awesome. Oh my gosh, I just want to just stay in the chat with all of you and skip the presentation. No, I'm kidding. Oh, I love it. Okay. So here's my new perspective, my newfound perspective on productivity. It's not just about checking more boxes, it's about checking the right boxes. Okay, I wish this transformation, I wish I could say it happened overnight, but it did not. Okay, it took me many years of trial and error, late nights, lots of mom guilt, hitting that rock bottom, lots of books and podcast episodes, and over $16,000 in business coaching. I feel like that was a really big turning point in my business is when I decided to invest in coaches, courses, and workshops from people who were doing what I wanted to do. They were a little bit further in the journey. And this is all not including my college education, which I do have my degree in elementary education. I know a lot of photographers have a similar journey. So I think that is a lot of money to invest, right? But I discovered the 3 keys to being purposely productive, and I want to share them with you guys right now for free. Okay, so here are the 3 keys to productively being purposefully productive. Okay, they might seem super simple, but I want to dive into each of them. So we have belief, support, and focus. Okay, I want to go ahead and talk about belief first, because I think from what I've heard in the chat from you guys this week, a lot of people are struggling with mindset. There's so much that we can unpack in this one point alone, but I think one of the biggest things that I want you guys to take away is that the body truly achieves what the mind believes. Okay, so if you continually think that you're not good enough, or if you continually compare yourself to other photographers and their journey, you're going to have this negative mindset around who you are and what you're capable of. And that will confine you. And it, like, I'm trying to think of the right word because I'm not embarrassed to share this, but it hurts me to say this, that it took me a really long time to figure this out. Like 8 years to be exact, of like, I just saw what everybody else was doing and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I not that successful? Or why am I not being able to charge those prices? And I approached everything with the wrong attitude and the wrong mindset, and it held me back for so long. So I want you guys to share in the chat. Do you believe that you're not alone in your struggles? And I hope after this week, you do, that you do believe you're not alone. So go ahead and drop that in the chat. I believe I'm not alone. I also want you to think about this thought. Do you believe that you're worth it? And you'll hear me anytime I talk. I'm a business coach, but I am also a motherhood coach because I feel like there are too many business coaches out there and there are too many motherhood coaches out there, but there are not enough coaches that tell you about both and the struggles you face interlocking both. And so whether you hear me on a podcast, whether you join the Side Hustler to CEO, I will always talk about both because for me, that's where the biggest struggle lies. Yes, do I think being just a mom is hard? Yes. Do I think being just a business owner is hard? Yes. But when you put the two together, it's like impossible, right? I know you guys can relate because some days it can feel impossible. Okay, Cassidy, Christina, Christian, they say, I believe I'm not alone. Lindsay says, I feel very alone. Thank you for being honest, Lindsay. I love that. So you might know you're not alone, but you feel alone. Those are two different things. I love that she touched on that. Lindsay, we're going to make you feel not alone. Okay, Becky says, honestly, listening to Nathan Holritz's Boca podcast has changed my perspective this year, and I own up to being good at what I do. Oh, I love it. And I believe I'm not alone. I am so proud of you, Becky. That is one thing, like once you pivot this mindset and you get out of this martyr mentality of, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, I'm the only one that deals with this, my kids are the worst, like nobody else has my kids. I'm saying all these things because I have felt these things, so there's no shame if that's you right now. Also, if you ever feel like you can't have a successful business and be a present mom, like you just feel like you're always going to be stuck in this, battle of having to choose, I want you to know that there's a better way. There is another way. Okay, Christian said the chat this week has been so encouraging. Definitely need more of this on the regular. Yes. Lindsay says, always here to keep it real. I call it Isolation Island. Oh my gosh. I don't like that, Lindsay. That makes me sad to the core, but I'm so glad you're here. I don't want anyone to ever feel alone like I did in that closet. Like literally, I started the purpose gathering. I think I've mentioned this maybe in my presentation. I don't remember, but I started the purpose gathering out of desperation because nobody was doing this when I started this 3 years ago. Nobody had motherhood and business mixed. So I started the in-person meetup group, which I think Lindsay, I think you're the same Lindsay that I've been talking to on Instagram, that also lives in Arizona and homeschools. I think that's you. But yeah, we were talking about that. I haven't done in-person meetups in a while, but I really want to get back to them because I miss them so much. Christian says, martyr mentality, definitely been there. Don't want to go back. Nope. And sometimes, honestly, sometimes you will go back. Sometimes your brain takes the path of the least resistance. And so when you are beat down, when you are not prioritizing self-care, that is what happens, right? You go into fight or flight mode and your brain goes straight back to those old thoughts because they're familiar. Just need to learn how to course correct, right? How to recognize it and how to get out of that. Lindsay says, you're amazing. It's a very needed community. Thank you. Lisbeth says, I believe I'm not alone, but I definitely feel like Lindsay a lot. Okay. Oh, we need to change that, girls. We need to band together. Okay. So I want to know, do you guys feel any of these other mindset blocks like imposter syndrome? I don't think that you guys deal with the fixed mindset syndrome, or I don't think you'd be here, right? Where you're like, this is just who I am. I don't want to change, or I can't change. Although I will say that sometimes, like in particular, when you're thinking about like, I'm not a morning person, or I'm not patient, I could never homeschool my kids, like, right? These are all also fixed mindset things. So I think there can be some struggles with that are kind of hidden that you might not even realize that you're dealing with. The hustle mindset really feeling like you constantly have to be doing something in order to prove that you are busy enough to be successful. I know that I have fallen into that trap before. Like when I don't feel like I'm doing enough, I feel like there must be something wrong. Like why do I not have more going on? Scarcity mindset or pride mindset. The scarcity mindset is like, I don't have enough money to invest. My work is not good enough to charge higher prices. That can all be scarcity. And then also the pride mindset. This is one that I think moms secretly also struggle with. And that is the mindset that I can do everything better, right? So I'm going to fold the laundry because I can do it better. I'm going to be the one that solely takes care of my kids because I can do it better. I'm going to be the one that puts my kids to bed every night because I can do it better, right? And you kind of wear this pride mindset of like, I can't trust anyone else to do it because I know that I can do it better. Let's see. Christian says, I've definitely felt them all at this point. Yes. Cassidy said, all of the above at some point or another. Yes. And I think part of this is really just being a human, right? Being a mom, learning, growing, evolving. But I think the most important thing is that you name it to tame it. You recognize what it is, draw a line in the sand and say, okay, I recognize that I'm having this mindset like block. I recognize what it is. Let me kind of try to figure out why I'm feeling this way. And then when you draw the line in the sand, it's saying, okay, I felt those feelings. I know what I'm feeling. Now I'm not going to stay stuck and I'm going to move forward. Lindsay says, I have a hard time delegating to people to care for my kids, even my husband. Yes. Why do you think that is, Lindsay? I'm curious to know. I also don't ever want my girls to look back on their childhood and think I care more about my work than them. Ooh, that cuts so deep, Lindsay.
Can I tell you
I
a quick story?
Yeah, I love that you bring that up.
So like the other night, I've been doing like in the morning 2 or 3 of the presentations, and then in the in the evening, like after bedtime, 2 or 3 or whatever, so I could do them all. And the night before last, I just asked my husband, I need to do 2 more presentations. Can you just do dinner, like clean up dinner and bedtime? And he lost his patience with my second child, and there was a physical struggle that resulted in a cut and 9 stitches with her in the ER that night. So
oh my gosh.
That is where my like anxiety, like if I just put her to bed, then we don't have stitches, we're not going to the ER. So like I just like
right.
Anyway, sorry to hijack your presentation, but that's why I have that anxiety.
No, I can totally relate to this because my husband and I have a similar struggle in that I have a lot more patience with our really challenging child than he does. And so, yeah, it definitely feels like, and I think on both ends, like I secretly feel like, you know, I really want you to step in and help, but when you do, it just makes it worse. And he secretly feels like when I step in, I just make it worse. So why would I try? And so there's like this disconnect where, you know, I feel like, can you please just learn how to be more patient? And he's like, I don't know what that looks like. And so how can we bridge the gap? And like my husband has his own trauma, right, from his past and how his family handled conflict. And so I also have to be really understanding that he wants to be patient, but he also doesn't have the capability physically to be patient because he has his own trauma that he's working through. So I think sometimes when you look at it from a different perspective, climb into their shoes for a moment, it changes perspectives. Okay, so let's see. Martina says, I think with photography businesses, not having a requirement for a degree can really add to the imposter mindset. I am self-taught. And while I do think I've built my skills, I struggle with imposter mindset because I'm not formally qualified. Drop in the chat if you are also self-taught. I am self-taught for sure. Lindsay, I feel that. My son, Becky, I used to feel guilty for asking for help. Yes. Okay. So I could camp on belief and mindset all day, but I know that there's another component to this of being productive. And we kind of touched on this just barely, but like support is going to be huge. I want you guys to drop in the chat right here. What does your support system look like? Okay. And this could be support anywhere. This could be support at home, mental support. Like if you regularly check in with a trusted friend, if you do not have a trusted friend that you like feel comfortable checking in with, I feel like this is huge. And this is what I really want the Purpose Gathering community to be. Once the summit's over, I'm going to have everyone, if they want to, come over to the Purpose Gathering Mamas Facebook group, which is the group that I run 24/7. That's where all of like, the conversation happens. We connect about the podcast. This is where I really want you guys to plug in and make those business besties. I want this community to be just like this is, right? I want you guys to plug in, meet people in your area if you can. So if you can't connect with someone locally here, find a virtual business bestie, right? Voxer is amazing. My best friend and I talk on Voxer every day. It's just like a voice memo app. So you don't have to like talk on the phone, but it's more personal than a text. Also way more convenient as a mom. Okay, I see a few of you are also self-taught. You don't need to have a degree. I have a college degree and I'm self-taught. Yes, love that. I think the majority of photographers are self-taught. I think the act of learning photography is something that you can learn very quickly. I think it's the business side that I would have enjoyed learning in college, but I also think like college, I don't know, before I go on like a soapbox about college, because I am going to touch on that a little bit later, I just feel like college is so much of a time waster. Please don't, come at me, but that's just how I feel. I did go to college and I just feel like it's a money-making game. I really wish they would make college more affordable for people and actually more practical, because I just feel like it's a lot of stuff you don't need to know. Okay, let's see. Also childcare, we talked about that. Like really, it's hard, but you have to get childcare support somewhere. If your spouse can't provide it, how can you find someone that can give you that support? Also, your community, who is in your circle. I think this is really important. I heard this quote once that said, if you're the smartest person in your circle, you need to find a new circle. Which I'll add to that, because I don't think you need to find a new circle, but I think you just need to expand your circle, right? Because you don't want to be the smartest one in the room, because then you have nothing to learn from them, right? Let's see. Also, support with a coach or a mentor. So someone who's several steps ahead of you, who is on the same journey that you're on, but a little further ahead, and that can help you talk through what to focus on, where you need belief support. So I think that is really, really helpful. And it took me a really long time to invest in a coach and a mentor. But once I did, that's when I really started to see things change in my personal life and my business. Okay, I'm gonna have to come back to the chat, girls, because I realize I can talk all day and I want to like keep us on track here time-wise. Okay, so let's talk about focus. This one is big, and this one I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking on, because you guys just went through a whole week's worth of things to focus on. And in the closing call, I'm going to really walk through how to kind of prioritize your focus. But this is a really important piece. So I love this quote that says, your schedule is far less about what you want to get done and far more about who you want to become. So I want you to think about this. When you open up your calendar, whether it's a paper calendar or a digital calendar, and you look at all of the appointments that you have scheduled, you look at all the things that you prioritize, that will tell you who you are on the path to becoming. So if you look at that calendar and there's no time for you, there's no time for your spouse, it's running your kids to this and that, and it's doing all the things for everyone else in your life, maybe like all of your client rosters are on there, like your sessions and when you're going to edit those sessions, and there's no time for you or your family, that is the path of who you're going to become. And so it's really important. Your time is your most precious commodity. People always say time and money, right, are the most precious commodities in this world. I would say time. is number one, because you can't get back time. You can always earn more money. And one thing that I really like to focus on too is your kids are not going to be little forever. You're going to have the rest of your life to work. And so don't waste the years when they're little worried about work. Okay, I want you to love work. I want you to enjoy your work, right? That's why we got into photography, because we loved it. But I don't want that and the business and all of this to like take over your life and push out the most important things in your life, which is your family. So I know that we talked about this week about priorities and what matters most to you, but it's really important that you put your priorities in order. Now, for me, they might look a little bit different than you, but my priorities are always my faith and my relationship with God first. These are the same as Brooke Jefferson too, just so you know, because she and I are really aligned. Second is my marriage with my husband. Third is my children. And fourth is my business. And so if any of those priorities get skewed, that's when I am so overwhelmed, and I can feel it in my body, is that, you know what, I've been working really hard on my business and I haven't been prioritizing these. And again, like Brooke said, it doesn't mean that they all get equal amount of time, but it does mean that you are pouring into each of them every day. So I also want you to think about this principle too, is what drives the most results in your business. This is an area that I really got flip-flopped, but did you know that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts? It's proven. They have done numerous studies on this. And when I heard that, I was like, that cannot be true. Like, that cannot be true. But I time track now every day. I time track and I look at my schedule, or I look at my time sheet for the end of the week, and I can pick out like how much did I spend my time. And normally it's the 20% things that are actually what's driving results in my business. And so why do we always focus on the busy work stuff, like the social media stuff that we think is what's driving it forward? But really what's driving it forward is me taking, 1 hour a week to connect with someone new on a coffee chat, right? Or taking a relationship that I have with someone a little bit deeper. So I want you guys to be thinking about that too. And then finally here, what is your game plan? You've got all these things that you want to focus on, but how do you organize it? What is your game plan and how do you simplify all these things? All right, friends. So what do you think right now? I gave you the 3 keys and you're like, okay, I've got those 3 keys, right? So now you have it. The connection piece has been a light bulb for you this weekend or this week. The connection piece, elaborate on that for me, Christina. Yeah, I want to hear what you guys are thinking here. So I also kind of want to know, why did you show up today? Was it because you're tired of feeling overwhelmed and rushed and disorganized? You're sick of flying blind without a plan and not even knowing what to focus on? You know you need a plan. Maybe this is you. You're like, I know I need a plan so that I can have time and energy for the things that matter, right? And you just need help with that.
I'll elaborate a little on the connection piece, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something that I haven't thought about in a while. I definitely have gotten caught up on Instagram looking perfect and making your feed just look or just even just being active on social media. But I just think about some of my past work and the connections that I've built in the community. And I just haven't even gone back to any of that. I haven't asked anybody to go to coffee, or I haven't, picked up the phone to just check in on old relationships or anything like that. And it was just a really needed reminder. I actually went to a networking event last night for my college alumni. And I don't know, I just think it's a really back to basics reminder.
Yeah.
Instagram feed is not what it's all about. Actual true human connections are going to go so much farther than what I put on Instagram today.
Oh, thank you for elaborating on that. Yeah, I definitely feel that. I think also sometimes it's just Instagram is so captivating. It's very addicting. It's meant to be that way, right? Like the first thing you see when you get on is usually like some loud, flashy video because that's what they're prioritizing and it draws us in. And then all of a sudden we're seeing all these cool people and we're like, I should be here. I should be doing this. Why am I not? I feel that too. There's so many people that can relate to what you just shared is like, it's not, that's not the only component of it. And actually, like Elizabeth talked about in her presentation with community, it's about one connection, and like one connection can exponentially grow your business with one connection. It's all about relationships, and not just fake relationships too, like actual genuine real relationships.
Ashley, can I tell you one more thing?
Yeah.
So I'm a wedding photographer, and I used to have a client that was a florist in my PR and marketing stuff. And she reached out to me today and was like, hey, I had a bride come in yesterday. I want to send her all of your information. Can you send me your website and stuff? And it was just like that needed reminder of like, how have I not gone to like check in with her and like really build that relationship? And I have so many of those that I can do right now. But it was just that needed reminder that I was like, man, that's really cool.
Oh, I love that. And I think too, like you get really excited when you start to think about like, oh, I could connect with this person and I could connect with this person. And so my recommendation for you guys is, I love Trello, so I talk about Trello all the time, but find somewhere where you can organize all of these ideas. So I would create a Trello board or a card. So boards are like your overall boards. Like I have like a CEO board for my master week. So like everything that I need to accomplish is like on this master list. And then I have one that's like for my personal life. And so you would create a card within that board that said like people I want to connect with. And then you would go ahead and be able to create a list, maybe tag their Instagram, post their Instagram, their website or something so that you can start to organize those. And then each week, just choose like one person. Like I'm just going to do one connection per week so that you don't get too overwhelmed, because what typically happens is you get super excited, you try all the things, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I can't maintain that. And then you just stop. So that would be my recommendation to you guys. Okay, so but without the belief, the support, and the focus that we just talked about, everything else is going to continue to feel overwhelming. Okay, so mama, it's time. It is time. I'm giving you full permission that you need to level up your productivity as the CEO, not only in your business, but in your motherhood, with a clear focus on what actually drives results, and a step-by-step proven system that's going to eliminate guesswork on how to book the right clients and how to run a sustainable and profitable business, but without sacrificing your sanity or your family. Because I don't care how successful you are in your business, if your home life is crumbling, right? If you're on the verge of divorce, if you hate being around your kids, if you can't get up in the morning because you just don't want to do another grind of a day, like none of that matters if your family life is crumbling. So learning to be purposely productive, it's only step one. Okay. And I know you're like, oh my gosh, Ashley, are you serious? Like step one sounds hard. What the heck? There's more steps. Okay, what about all the other steps that it takes to run a profitable business while you raise a family? And I think that's where so many of you are right now, where you're just like, I want more time for my family. Like, I don't want to miss the sporting events. I don't want to be staying up late and missing dinner. I don't want, to be missing the very important moments in my life. You want more income for your business. No more undercharging and overworking. I have been there, done that. It is the fastest path to burnout. And you want true balance, right? You're like, okay, I'm ready for this. Like, I want to have it both ways. I want to be a present mom, but I also want to be an amazing business owner. How do I do this? Okay, you have two options. Option number one is you can spend a lot of your time and energy trying to figure it out all on your own through trial and error, which is what I did for so long. And it's the complicated way. You can do that, or you can choose option number 2, which is having an accelerated process with a proven system that generates results in just a few weeks. And that's the strategic way, the way that I want to teach you, the journey that I want to take you on. So the program that I have designed and created is called the Side Hustler to CEO. This is not the boring corporate type of CEO that you are probably envisioning, or maybe not after this week. Maybe I have done a great job of transitioning your mind out of that corporate CEO. This doesn't mean that you're going to work full-time hours. This doesn't mean that you have to be, that CEO version that you think of when you hear that word. This is the person, the CEO who takes charge, who has a strategic plan, who is ready to take action and not just sit on the sidelines anymore. That's what CEO means to me. It's intentional, it's purposeful. Okay, so let me share with you a little bit about what this is. So this is for the busy mom dog. That's you, the mom, the photographer who is ready. They want to take this next step, but like I said, they don't want to sacrifice their family or their freedom. Okay, so here's what is included inside the Side Hustler to CEO program. It is a 6-month implementation program. And when I created and designed this program, I designed it with the busy mom in mind, with myself in mind, that mom back in the closet, hiding from everyone, crying, not knowing what to do. That's the mom that I designed this for. So I have created this to be a go at your own pace sort of structure, but with checkpoints. So I'm going to keep you accountable because I know that without accountability, you likely won't do it. Okay. And I know that because I'm speaking from experience. So you will get 12 bi-weekly no fluff lessons, just like you heard at the summit. It's going to help you focus on the most important aspects of your business. And it's going to go in the correct order in which we all wish that we would have gone through from the beginning. So if you are just starting your photography business, this is the perfect place for you to be. If you are further in your business and you're like, girl, I wish I had this 10 years ago, trust me too. I wish I did it as well. Okay, so you'll get this lesson. This lesson is pre-recorded, so you can watch it at any time throughout that week that it drops. And then the off weeks that you're not having a lesson, we're doing a bi-weekly implementation coaching call. So we get on Zoom just like this. You guys are able to submit specific questions or chat with me like this, unmute yourself and ask questions about the lesson, or it can be about anything in business. So this is really where we go deeper on like issues that you might be having in your personal life, mindset blocks that you might be going through. So we don't just talk about the lesson, we talk about whatever you want in that call. Also, the calls are usually an hour, but depending on how many people join the program, it could be 90 minutes. I will kind of adapt based on your guys' needs for what you need. I also have curated bonus resources that I throw in there as well. So I have a podcast with over 100 episodes. And so I will pop in some podcast episodes in there, some trainings that I've done before in the past. We also have a private Facebook group. This is only for Side Hustler to CEO members so that you can get like real-time feedback. So if you're like, well, I have a question now, I don't want to wait 2 weeks for our next call or next week for, to ask my questions. That's what the private Facebook group is for. So real time, if you have a photo that you need some constructive criticism on, if you have any issue that comes up and you're like, Ash, I need support, or you just want to like share a win. I love doing that. We do challenges inside this Facebook group. This is a great opportunity for you guys to plug in, connect, but stay accountable. Okay, also, like you guys mentioned, looking for community. This is a deeper community, right? So the free community that I have on Facebook, that's a great community to plug into as well, but it's different than the Side Hustler program because these mamas are in it to win it, right? These moms are like, I know what I need and I'm going after it. And so it's really awesome to have that momentum. Christian says, I am so excited. Yes, I love it. And thanks, Ruby. She likes my podcast. Thank you. And you get ongoing access. So this is something new that I haven't done before, but I'm going to be giving you guys lifetime access to the content. So even after 6 months after the program, you still have access to watch all the videos again. Because that's one thing, if that's one thing that I've learned as being a business owner and a mom, is that sometimes you need to revisit content later, maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year from now. You want to go back and be like, okay, I'm ready to really focus on this. Like I did the bare minimum, but now I want to go even deeper. Okay. So that's a $6,200 value. And how I've laid out the program is a little bit different. I know we are going over time, you guys. I'm so sorry. If you're still with me, thank you. I'm trying to go as fast as possible, but I don't want to miss things. So I have laid this program out systematically. We don't get to marketing until the end. And you guys might be like, what the heck? But I'm telling you why. Let me tell you why right now. So month 1 and 2 is all about laying the foundation. If you do not have a solid foundation in your photography business and you start attracting a bunch of clients, it will crumble. It's happened to me, it's happened to tons of other photographers, and maybe it's happened to you or is happening to you right now. So we're going to cover goal setting, prioritizing self-care, how to schedule your time. I give you guys my Trello templates and you create your own boards based off of some ideas that I give you. You'll get all your legal ducks in a row. I'll be there to help you all throughout that process. And then month 3 and 4, this is going to be about prepping for your clients. So this is going to turn your photography business into a well-oiled machine. So we're going to really dive deep about choosing your niche, creating really intentional messaging, improving your client experience, how to price your packages, and then really how to create a seamless workflow all the way through from start to finish with each client. And then month 5 is when we really start talking about attracting clients, because now you're ready to attract clients. So in the final 2 months, you'll learn how to attract the right clients, how to nurture your audience, how to grow your business. We're going to be talking about social media marketing, building an email list, and outsourcing. Okay, so I will let you guys kind of read through these really quick about the results you're going to get. I'm sure by now you guys are like, yes, this sounds good. Like, where do I sign up? Like, just get to the good part, Ashley. Like, what the heck? How much does this cost? How do we do this? So I know before we get there, I just want to say, like, I know how hard it is to feel pulled in a bunch of different directions. And you're like, I already don't have time. Like, how can I make time for this? And I promise, like, I make it really bite-sized for you because I know you're busy. I want to share Hannah with you. She only 4 weeks into the program, she made her investment back. She was already booking out her calendar. Hannah came to me without belief. She did not believe that she could have a successful business and do motherhood well. She told me this was the first investment that she ever made outside of like some presets and a camera, right? She said it was one of the best investments that she has ever made. And she is my girl who went from take-home pay. Her take-home pay was like $6 an hour. And now she's making over $25 to $30 an hour in take-home pay, which if you haven't done my Passion to Profit challenge, that's how you would figure that out. And we talk about that very in depth in the Side Hustler to CEO program. So this CEO program is designed especially for mom togs. I'm going to skip Lindsay right here just because sake of time. It's not another course. This is a implementation course, right? Most courses are go at your own pace. You maybe do 20 to 30% of it. Maybe you come back and hit 50%, but the numbers, the percentage of people who finish courses is extremely low. So this is not a course, this is a program. Each lesson and coaching call, it's like dripped out to you. So you do have to go in order. Okay. All right, so here's the good stuff, you guys. Okay, all of this, again, $60 to $100 value. Here's the payment options for you. There are 2 options. You can either pay in full. It's a one-time payment of $1,500, or you can do 6 payments of $300 to make it easier for you to put in your budget. Okay, so now that I've shared the pricing, I want to hear from you guys, like, what is standing in your way right now? Like, when you think about joining this program and you're like, okay, I just went through the whole summit. I know that I want all of this. Like what you're talking about, Ashley, resonates. I want this. Like, what is standing in the way? I want to see in the chat. Like, what would make this hard for you to say yes to? As you're dropping it in there, I'm just going to give you some of the most common responses that I hear, which is money. Like, oh, it sounds great. It's a little expensive, right? Like I've never invested that much aside from like gear. I don't know. Am I worth it? Oh, good question. So the value is 6,200. The price is 1,500. Good question. Elizabeth says the only thing standing my way is money. Okay, I feel you. I understand that. I used to be in that spot too, where I'm just like, oh, so hard to invest. So I told you I was going to circle back and talk about college, because this is one thing where I'm like, you know, college is pushed so much when you're young, right? You go to high school and they're like, what college are you going to go to? And it feels like that's the next best step. And you sign up for college and you go to college, and the majority of the people, I don't know the percentage, but there's a lot of people that go to college and they have their degree. I'm one of them, and then don't use it, right? But we don't really bat an eye at investing in college, right? College is getting you to where you want to go, right? College is supposed to be teaching you how to do the job that you want to do. But then when we see an investment or a program like this, we're like, oh, but it's expensive, right? Because I used to do that. Trust me, like my first investment as a photographer was $1,200. And I still to this day remember, like, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work? Like, oh my gosh, like, what if I'm not good enough? What if I quit photography like the next year? What? I don't know. And I took that leap because the other side of me was like, well, what if it does? Like, what if this does work? What if I am worth it? What if this is the beginning of something incredible and I didn't believe, right? I didn't have the support around me that I needed. And so I continued on this hamster wheel over and over again. And like, how many years are you going to do that, right? Before you really start to see that an investment pays off, not right away, right? But in the future. Becky says, I have this struggle with every investment for my business. Me too. Trust me. Now the things that I invest in are $5,000 to $6,000. And you guys, it still feels like that $1,200 investment where I'm like, oh my gosh, like my heart is pounding when I hit purchase. Like I still to this day. And one thing too, I think Becky, you mentioned this earlier, is like being like second guessing whether an investment is like worth it. I actually worked with a coach a few years ago, and I don't know how to like say it, but I didn't get what I wanted from it, and it was $5,000. And I felt like, okay, what's the mindset? Where I was like, okay, I wanted to say out loud, that was a waste of my money, right? Have you guys ever done that before? Like, that was such a waste of my money. And so now someone, actually a complete stranger, told me this once. Like we were talking, she was a fellow business owner, but I didn't know her. And we were talking about something. And I said, yeah, I just invested in a program and it was a total waste of money. And she said something to me and she was like, oh, I want to share something with you. She said, nothing is ever a waste of money. She said, there is always something to be learned through that experience. And I was like, what? And so she's like, it could even be a learning lesson for you, but that was not the right path. Or that next time you choose a coach, don't choose a coach that, you know, has this type of value. And so that just really stood out to me, like so clear, that I was like, you know what? So now when I think back on that experience, my brain wants to go to, that was a waste of money. But now I go to, you know what? When I worked with her, I built my first course. It didn't go the way I wanted it to, but I learned a lot. Also, while I was with that coach, I built a membership. This was all in 2020, by the way. And it didn't work. It wasn't what I wanted. But you know what? It was building stepping stones to where I am today. And so it wasn't a waste of money. Sure, it didn't turn dividends. It didn't even break even, right? Like I didn't make that $5,000 back by working with her then, but I am now, right? 2.5 years later after working with her, the experience working with her was fine, but you know, in that moment, I was like, this didn't pay off, but now it did. And so I kind of want you to keep that in mind too, that an investment is not always an investment for right now, today, but for the future and who you are on your journey and how you will grow. Okay, so Lindsay asked, do you offer this year round? I have to buy a new lens, 2 off-camera flashes, some insurance. Yes, I understand all of that. So I offer this on a 6-month rolling basis. So I want the people who join the program to stay in the program together. So I will be offering this again in 6 months. So yes, great question. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I want to give you guys a 24-hour bonus because I know that I hate when I get off master classes and they're like, you have 15 minutes to decide if you want to join this. Like, I don't like that. So I want to give you guys a 24-hour bonus because I want you to have time to talk this over with your spouse. I want you to think about this investment because I would never want you to jump into this program and then regret it and be like, I shouldn't have done this. So I want to make sure that it's the right fit. So I'm going to be in my DMs all day today on Instagram. If you want to voice message me questions, if you're like, I don't really know, I'm really nervous about the investment. I don't know, if this is the next right step for me, can you give me more information? I'm here for you. But if you choose to sign up before noon tomorrow, and that's Central Time, you'll receive a 90-minute Get More Clients training workshop. So this is a bonus workshop, like in addition to the whole program. And what I want to do in this workshop, because I know that getting more clients is important. Okay, even though I don't talk about it till the end of the program, I know it's important, right, to the sustainability of your business. And so we're going to actively walk through steps to get more clients. Okay, so we're actually going to be, I'm going to have you guys like open up your tabs on your computer and go to Facebook and start actually reaching out to people. Like, we're taking action to get more clients. And to let you know, our first Q&A for the program will start on September 14th. So as soon as you join the program, you'll get access to the first lesson, but I still want you to have some time to kind of breathe after the summit, work through the first lesson, get that set up before our first coaching call on September 14th. They will be on Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. So why I'm saying Pacific time is because right now we're in Arizona and we're the same as Pacific time. I've been using Central time all week because it's Central, and I wanted you guys to have a more central time zone. And then also you'll have access to the Get More Clients speaker panel that we just did, which was awesome. So that will really help as well. Okay, so I have the link down here at the bottom. So if you want to go ahead and write that down, thepurposegathering.com/coaching. Again, I want to be reaching out to all of you who applied for the scholarship and just having a conversation with you guys. Thanking you for applying. I really want to go deeper with each of you, but if you want to start that conversation right now over on Instagram, please do. Let's see. Lindsay says, I love that you create a micro community. Thank you. The community aspect is like one of my absolute favorite parts. I love coaching and I love teaching, but it's that community side that I think a lot of people are lacking, especially after 2020. It's just been really hard. Christina said the program looks awesome. Thank you. And for those of you, because I know, Christina, you and I have talked about this, for any of you that are watching the replay right now and you're like, I'm not a mom, I don't know if this program will work for me. Like, this program, I would say, is about 90% focused on business, 10% focused on personal life as far as content goes. But we do go deep into more personal stuff on the Q&A and in the Facebook group. So I have had one person go through so far who is not a mom, and she did incredible, but she wants to be a mom, right? So has this incredible foundation built for her business for when she does have kids. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you for sticking around. I know I went over. I have a hard time staying on task because I just love the comments and I want to just chat with all of you so much. I'm glad that you enjoyed your week. Oh, thank you guys all so much. Stay tuned inside the Facebook group. Well, I will be posting links to hop on over to the Forever Facebook group, which is the Purpose Gathering Mamas. Awesome. Thank you guys all so much, and I will see you really soon. Bye.